Okay, we're live. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much. Hey everyone, I am Jessica Andrade and welcome to the Inclusivity Committee meeting. I probably should have said that part first. Amanda, who is our co-chair, is not here today, so I will be chairing. This is for those who are unfamiliar and who are watching. This is an informal meeting. Everyone is invited to join us in conversation. Just sign in and sit at the table with us, and you are welcome as you are. So I'm a little scatterbrained today. Please bear with me.
You are also welcome as you are.
Yeah. But oh yeah, oops, it's 5:38 p.m. and yeah, so just to go over the agenda, we have attendance and introduction, but we don't really need to introduce, right? I think we're all good.
We just do a roll call around the room so we can know who's here.
So we'll do like a quick roll call, approval of minutes from last meeting, any announcements. We have some business to go over with the Holocaust Remembrance Proclamation draft and kind of figuring out how we want to proceed with our work plan for the year as a committee, reviewing that calendar of observances and such, as well as anything else we want to talk about doing, in addition to reviewing the strategic plan components that have been approved by the council, it's been officially approved, right? The language I put in here isn't completely accurate, but
Hasn't been approved by way of like resolution or anything. I'll do that.
gotcha.
You'll do that next month.
Thank you. But yeah, this is in a separate document that we'll have the city reporter add to the digital packet after the meeting. And just providing, the aim of that is just kind of to review what the strategic plan is for those who don't know, and then to also review the council's priorities from the strategic plan and try to come at the viewing of it from diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility lens, to see if there's anything missing or if there's something else that we can think of. And then also looking to their themes and goals. That was a lot longer than I meant to do, I'm sorry. And then we'll go over next meeting stuff. So, roll call. We just around.
Introductions, Jane, if you want to start.
What? Judd Amador. Jessica Andrade.
Just Workman.
Megan Irwin.
Bethany Harvey.
There's a reason I don't facilitate anything. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone. And so now let's go to the minutes. Did anyone notice anything? Well, I guess I'll start by saying I believe there's a typo on line 17 of the first page. There's a person that is marked absent who I don't believe is an official committee member, and therefore it does not need to be marked absent. I believe that person is Valerie Cam. And so besides that, did anyone see anything that needs to be changed, or are we all good with the minutes as is? Well, with that change.
The rest of the minutes looked correct to me.
Cool. And since I don't hear any more objections, consensus says the minutes are good with that one correction. Yay. Okay, so now on to Thank you. Does anyone have any announcements?
Let me rewind. Sorry, Dollar Cam, I think is our newest member that did.
Oh, okay. So
Just
just,
double checking that we've got her listed as a community member on the Inclusivity Committee. So I think she's the newest one that joined on.
just kidding then. So we will approve as is with no correction.
The name was familiar and I was trying to remember, but I haven't met them before, so I wasn't 100% sure. But the city recorder has them listed on the list of members on the website, so I was double checking. Glad I did.
Oh, that's right, because, yeah, the numbers make sense now. Thank you for that.
All right, so approved by consensus then.
Yes. As is. Does anyone have any announcements about things coming up? Volunteer opportunities, events, educational opportunities? Anything else? Hearing that there aren't any announcements, we'll go on to business. We, as a reminder, the committee had agreed to do a proclamation for Holocaust Remembrance Day. Last year, we weren't able to get things together, so we did it for this year. Alba and Jane wrote the draft resolution for us. If you would like to talk about your thought process or anything else you want to
But then it was really exhausting.
add?
I mean, it took a lot. I think it took a lot out of me. I think by the end of we were really,
Our work session.
yeah, we were like,
We were drained.
this is heavy.
It is
But anyway,
heavy,
It's heavy material.
yes.
Thank you for doing all of that research and putting things together. And so I'll just, before we kind of dive into any thoughts, suggestions and such, that normally we would work on a proclamation 3 months in advance, so that we have time to go through multiple iterations, especially when we generate a new proclamation. But because of time constraints and stuff, we weren't really able to do that this time. And so not wanting to pressure either way of like, let me back up. Since it falls on April 14th, that means we have to approve it today if we want council to consider it for approval. So I don't want people to feel pressured either way to either fast track it, even though they're to fast track it, or to like, oh, we need more time. Basically, if you have strong feelings either way, please do not feel compelled to
Okay,
do the
so
other thing.
does anyone have a
Thank you.
problem with the proclamation as written? Are there obvious typos, anything that we can fix quickly?
I just have one suggestion. I think it's maybe more respectful to say Jewish people rather than Jew. I think that is sometimes used as a slur, and so if we can be as respectful as possible, that'd be my preference, like to say Jewish people or something like that.
Yeah, that's easy and quick. I will say, I think with that, which I also noted, I like the proclamation as written. I don't see anything that we need to really change. I like the focus of it, and I think the language is good. So it has my approval as long as we change to Jewish people.
Are there any thoughts about swapping the first two clauses. The second one's a little more general, the second one's a little more specific in the details, so when I read it, that seems to flow a little bit better, but I think it's fine either way.
I think I like it the way that it's set up because it's specifically, we recognize the history of it, having just given the history and then reflecting blah, blah, blah. Then the reflection comes in the third clause. But I could see flipping it. I could see an argument for that if other people are on board.
I like the idea of introducing what it is first also. But I don't have any strong feelings. The only thing that I'm curious about is I know that we try not to have multiple sentences for each whereas clause. Does anyone have any strong feelings about that? Chris, do you have any insight into that?
A little formatting, I mean, ideally, we would try to do that, but you can maybe insert a semicolon there to keep by the letter of that
In the
best practice, but
the
Oh, that
third
probably does make
one.
more sense, yeah. Sorry, what was that?
in the third clause,
The third
that's what I
clause,
think
yes.
she was saying.
The third line of the first clause.
The third line of the first clause, I think we can simply just put a comma there.
Oh, I forgot about the third
Yes.
one.
And just make it all one sentence, and that should still flow okay.
I think in that case, it would actually be, I thought you were saying a semicolon for that one, since it has a list afterwards.
Yeah, I think
You could use semicolon for both,
semicolon's probably better than a comma's place.
since they do both have lists. Yeah, okay, cool. That makes sense. I kind of forget semicolons exist sometimes.
I've been accused of overusing them, so we balance out, I guess.
I used to use them a lot and purposefully don't anymore, hence the forgetting about it. On that note, I think normally the formatting, just for Crystal's sake, because I know Christopher wants to try to be more consistent with the structure, that the whereas clause finishes in a semicolon and then and comma. Okay. But yeah, no, I think that.
So the last one would be semicolon.
The last whereas clause would have a period,
Mhm.
and then we go into now, therefore. And that final one, I don't know if I'm just not reading it right, but in the second to last line, all Philomath citizens to reflect on the defense of human universal rights, or is it universal human rights? Or human and universal, is that right, or am I reading it wrong? Is it human universal rights or universal human rights?
I think there's a convention for that. I cannot remember it in English at the moment.
I think it's universal human rights.
Yes.
Because that's what the UN has their declaration on.
Yes.
Okay.
That does sound better.
So we can,
Twisted.
yeah, I think it's the other way around in Spanish. So it's fine.
But universal rights are, that's maybe a thing.
The Declaration of Universal Human Rights is a document that the UN put out several years ago now.
Universal human rights,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Yeah,
Human rights, I think, is
yeah.
what we usually talk about.
That's what I'm saying. I do think it got flipped because the subject verb order in Spanish is different than English. So
Right.
that's, I think, where that confusion comes from.
I had that same thought of why that might happen, but yeah. Okay, so universal human right. Yes, just for peace, democracy, and liberty.
Thank you for that. Also, I think we were talking about the whole declaring Philomath city council declaring national and international days. So like deleting the national and part in line 26, because we
Yeah,
kind of can't.
we can't.
Yeah.
We're just agreeing that we celebrate it too.
Yeah.
We could add Holocaust Remembrance Day in Philomath and calling upon Philomath citizens.
That's right. Does that sound good to people? Proclaim April 14th, 2026 as Holocaust Remembrance Day in Philomath, comma, calling upon all Philomath citizens. ...
Yeah, nice job.
I think that's the least angst we've had over a proclamation possibly ever. So well done.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. It was very,
And we'll be working on the draft for National Asian American and Pacific Islander.
Great, yeah. Next month.
good. And to clarify, there wasn't anything else, was there? We're all good.
No, I think that's it.
I don't know. Okay, cool. Thank you very much. So, yeah, going back to calendar business and circling back about what you had said. Well, I guess first, Amanda, Jen, and I did not do social media for this month. Partially because, well, there were multiple reasons why, but
I had COVID, so that didn't help.
that's right. Are you feeling better?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the cough now is not that, it's postnasal drip from allergies, because I feel like I got better again just in time for the trees to explode.
Right. Last week was the worst.
I literally walked out to my car this morning and it was covered in a fine layer. So it's fine. I think I just need to get past July when they do all the grass harvests and I'll be able to breathe normally again.
But priority for getting a template together for a social media post for next month. And yes, Alva and Jane are going to work on the May proclamation for Asian Pacific Islander. Asian American.
Yeah, Asian American
Pacific Islander side.
Yes.
Month. And so, I guess this part I might need a little assistance with. So if it's March now, next month is April, May, June, May, or I guess it would be May, June, July, right? Because we've already, yeah, May, June, July. So that means we're looking at what had previously been scheduled on here on the calendar was Pride for June and 4th of July for July. So the one part of this is, do we want to do anything specific for June and July, or do we want to not do something for it, calendar related or otherwise? And then we have here the list that of all the other things that are happening during those months to get the creative juices flowing. And then the other component to this is figuring out if there's anything else that the committee is interested in doing that isn't necessarily related to any of these observances relating to like cultural identity and like status, etc., all the different demographics. And then there's the strategic plan part of it, and which could probably be used to help in the conversation about figuring out if there's anything, like what we want to do for the year, like planning things out. By looking at what the council has prioritized and what the themes and goals are for the year.
Sure, so maybe we could start by coming to closure on what needs to get done for May, since that will be the one that we need to review stuff for and what we'll be meeting for next time.
Thank you for that.
So you two are drafting another proclamation, God love you, that does not sound like fun.
Actually, I have a question, because I forgot what the color on this calendar means. Is blue missing? So does it mean,
I think it's just blue is confirmation.
Yeah, I think it's just coding for what it is, yeah.
so,
We don't have, I don't think we have a proclamation for.
No, we do not.
no,
We confirmed that last time.
okay.
Yeah, we don't have a proclamation, we do not have a social media post.
We have passed social media.
Yeah,
posts.
to refer to, but we wanted to specifically include like new
Highlight.
events and whatnot.
I don't think we October for this.
National Disability Employment Awareness.
We do have that.
A
Do
proclamation.
we?
So,
Yes, sorry,
You're
so,
totally fine. So for May, we need to review everything in April, which will be the next time we meet. So it sounds like the proclamation does not exist. The two of you are working on it. Okay. Social media post, that would include links to anything that's happening this year. I think Amanda, you and I are all going to meet to do that.
yes.
Presumably, I won't have COVID again, so it should happen. Okay, so that will put us at, we have the proclamation and the social media post. That should take care of the month of May. So then it becomes,
June and July.
yes. And if that might be a good time to review the strategic plan components, just to see if there's something that the city is doing.
Are doing, strategic plan would need to be, because we're essentially done with the strategic plan. Next year, we'll have to talk about it in December.
I think I may have been misunderstood. You were talking about how there are things the city is trying to prioritize. And as we're looking to the future, we might want to refer to this to let us know like kind of what city council goals are. Obviously, we don't have feedback in it. It's already been more or less finalized. This is for banners, for social media posts, for proclamations. Is there anything we can do that's in line with the strategic plan?
Well, I mean, that's what we're supposed to be doing today.
Yeah, I'm saying for the calendar, looking
Oh,
forward.
you were asking that question right now.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I apologize. I mean, maybe, but I believe June is actually, if I remember correctly, that's when we're supposed to do the inclusivity proclamation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in June.
inclusivity proclamation. So we'll need to be reviewing that anyway in June. But other than that,
Well, in May, right?
yes, I meant for June. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, all I was asking is there anything in the strategic plan that we have to address? And it sounds like the answer to that is yes. Inclusivity proclamation.
That's not a strategic plan.
Okay.
I guess I think maybe we should go over what the strategic plan is, because I think I might be misunderstanding.
No, you're fine. The inclusivity proclamation just got mentioned literally in
Yes.
conjunction with that. And so I was confused as to where that fits in.
And I can't, sorry, I can't find it in the agenda, the inclusivity proclamation.
The Inclusivity Proclamation is, don't worry about it, it's on page 11 of the packet, listed in June. And I had put asterisks around it because that was what was said and decided by council at the time.
Oh, but this inclusivity proclamation is something that has been generated by the committee?
That's what started this committee
Oh,
in
okay.
2020.
Because this inclusivity calendar is just a reference calendar for what?
Yes, this is the calendar that I just kind of listed a bunch of stuff for creative purposes so that people can be inspired.
Okay. So
If they decide like, oh, I
maybe-
don't want to do like 4th of July after all, I want to do International Non-Binary Day and like highlight that or something, you know.
So maybe inclusivity proclamation, we also need to include it in our work calendar.
Yes, that is the idea. I personally don't
In June.
care for the calendar situation, but thinking about it in terms of like what are we going to do each month, that is the idea.
Yeah, we're not married to the calendar. This is just to let us
Yeah.
know what work is on the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
And since one of the things we can do, because we're not married to it, is look through it and be like, is there anything else we would like to do? We can start thinking, critically, okay,
Intentionally.
yeah. We can go, okay, well, August Senior Citizens Day, we love that. What are we doing for that? Is it just a social media post? Do we have a proclamation?
Mhm.
If we don't have a proclamation, does someone have to write one? That kind of thing. All right, so what it's sounding like then. So for April, we have the proclamation. That's the National Holocaust Remembrance Day proclamation, beautifully written by Jane and Alba. So that's good.
So in April, we'll be reviewing the AAPI
Yes.
proclamation.
Yes. And we will ideally have a social media post review as well.
Mhm.
So then
In
in May, we'll be reviewing the Inclusivity Proclamation.
or sooner if there's like going to be larger changes to
Okay.
it.
Does the draft of it currently exist?
Yeah.
Okay, in
Oh,
that
yeah.
case, we should probably put it on the calendar for
Form.
April for review, just in
Agreed.
case we want to change it.
Agreed.
Okay.
And then, so that takes care of May, June, July, we can take a look at in May if there's something that someone wants to do. And if anyone wants to do something in addition to the Inclusivity Proclamation for June, now is the time to decide that.
It might be cool to have a social media post for that as well. Especially because we do have a
For what,
local,
sorry?
for June, it's Pride Month. And I was about to get to that, but thank you for clarifying, because I realized I never actually said the word pride. June is Pride Month. Philomath is the only city in Benton County that actually puts on a Pride event in June. That is something that we should be proud of. And there are a lot of events that happen around the state in the month of June as well. So it might be nice to have a social media post and fill people in.
Something for June are good. So for July, we just have, not just, but Independence Day. But we don't have a banner necessarily for that. I don't know, we've done a specific social
We have a
media
flag.
for us in the past. So,
We do have past social media posts.
do we, for July? Okay. Are we good with keeping with Independence Day for July, or is there another effort that we want to highlight in July?
I think probably planning on keeping the social media post for Independence Day is a good move. And then if there is another event that we want to focus on, that could be something that we, again, ask people to reflect on and come back to us with in April, with the idea that anything we do would be reviewed in May.
And I'm sorry, I'm going back to June. I see here on June 20th, World Refugee Day. And I think that worth to think about if we want to do a post about it or something. Maybe we can think about it for April.
Yeah. So one of the things that we want to do, Amanda, Jessica, and I, is to put together kind of the social media template. So it could be that we come with that in April and say, hey, here's what we've come up with. And if someone looks at it and goes, oh, I look at this and I have a pretty good idea of what I would like to put together for a post, they could then draft that, we'd review it in May. So that would probably work. Yeah, it doesn't have to be you. It's okay for you to point it out and be like, I think we should do something for this. And I've done so much already. Does someone else want to take a crack at it?
So the other one that comes up in July, looking at just turning the page that Jessica provided, is the Disability Independence Day on July 26th. I know we've kind of been leaning more towards, well, let's say that, I'll just say that may be one that we could highlight in July. That's like in addition to a 4th of July social media post, that may be another one to highlight.
Okay.
And I'm thinking more than like a social media post, I'm thinking, are there specific things that we can focus on in July around disability awareness? Whether that be kind of call to action for business owners to, you know, try to do something to make their facility more accessible, to, you know, government entities. I mean, I look at our building, I'm like, there's things that we have planned to do to this building to make it more accessible that we're not doing. You know, so like a call to action of some sort to try to make some progress. In July, so again, trying to look beyond just doing a proclamation or just doing a social media. Is there an actual call to action, something we could do? We get, at some of the conferences I go to, we'll get pitched to every once in a while from organizations in the state. Some are state agencies and others are nonprofits that'll kind of come out and do like an audit of your building, your community, whatever. And there's no, some of them, the government ones, there's no cost. They'll just come out and just do an ADA audit and just kind of see how your facilities and things are, which is kind of helpful. The nonprofit groups go a step further and make recommendations and do a report and all that kind of stuff. So there's resources out there. So something we're interested in taking a, you know, doing something more about, I guess, but.
Yeah, so if you know of anybody that you've met at any of those conferences, it might be nice to bring like a list to the April meeting. Again, it doesn't have to be you that takes this on because you're not an official committee member, but I think that's a really cool idea and I would love to see more done with it. So if we have some idea of who to reach out to, report back in May and be like, can we actually do anything with this or not? That would give us lead time.
And also in the calendar, it indicates that October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month. So maybe we can maybe make a call to action or just something in July. And then if as Dan says, we find somebody to talk more about it, maybe think about it for October.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. To clarify and follow up on what you had suggested, Chris, would an example of something kind of be like, I'm thinking about how like there are different organizations that have campaigns to do things like I guess having letters or like, you know, flyers to send out to, you had mentioned businesses, so like approaching maybe the chamber and going to the businesses who aren't affiliated with the chamber to give them resources about like simple things they can do that's not going to cost too much money. Is that the kind of thing you're talking about?
Yeah, it's just like some type of a effort that we can do in July outside of a proclamation or social media post or a hanging a banner up, which are all good things, but.
Thanks. Those are all great ideas.
But we're also coming on the back of June, which a lot of people put a lot of effort and work into, so I don't want to overburden people either.
No, but I think like, again, The nice thing about doing this is if we start with that call to action and just be like, hey, are you aware of these easy things that you could do to make your business more accessible? If we come from a place of, hey, isn't this great? We all want the community to be accessible and start very small. We can build on that momentum in October maybe or next year because Pride didn't really come out of nowhere. It's not like it was like, well, we should all really celebrate this and now we have this huge event every year. It's something that has kind of gained momentum year after year. So it's okay if it starts with just like, hey, we're petitioning local business owners. Did you know? Here's something easy you could do. Then, next year, whatever, follow up on that. I don't know. Maybe, maybe offer to rate businesses on accessibility if there's like a state agency or something that we could reach out to for help with that. And that would again be something where it would be like, we wouldn't do it this year, but next year or the year after, it could be something that happens.
I'm definitely looking to put the lists of ideas together for us to constantly revisit as the time becomes appropriate for it.
Yeah. No, I think the call to action is a good idea. And that again is the kind of thing where we have enough lead time, we could probably make it happen.
For sure. Awesome. Any other thoughts about June, July? Or just revisit that when we have like a social media template?
I think a Juneteenth post would make sense.
Agreed.
We're doing an inclusivity proclamation.
Thank you for that. If there isn't anything else regarding the next couple of months, then perhaps this would be a good time to kind of review the strategic plan priorities real quick, or however long it takes. I don't want to rush through things, but also I don't want to stress too much about it because, like we said, it's mostly done. It's just, but if there's any sort of suggestions that we can give to council to think about, if not for this year, then maybe incorporating it as different opportunities arise. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that's right. Before we turn the page and move to there, can I make one more comment about April or suggestion for April? It might be helpful I'll reach out and see if the committee's interested. It might be helpful to have the city attorney join us at that April meeting. There's been some flags raised about funding and the city's ability to get federal grants and things with the current language and efforts of this committee. And so the city attorney's flagged it. She's got some legal advice that she's made that I think would be good for this committee to hear and talk through a little bit. I don't see it as something where like the committee is going to end, but it may mean like a shift in the things we focus on a little bit. Maybe the shift a little bit how it's presented on our social media pages or on the website. Some of these are pretty large federal grants that the city is going to want to get or currently has that we don't want to be in jeopardy. Or maybe we do and we want to take a stand and we want to give the federal government the middle finger. But it's worth a conversation about, and there's legal ramifications with that. So as we're starting to talk about the Inclusivity Proclamation, that's probably a good time to have the attorney come and talk through that proclamation even a little bit, and then more generally about kind of the committee going forward and her recommendations.
That is really helpful.
I'll see if she's available, and at the very least, have her put a memo or something together that we can go through. But I'll see if we can invite her. It's far enough out there. Should be able to get her.
Thanks.
Is that interesting to the committee? Is that?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I
do or?
think we have to know.
I mean, the alternative is she'll just go to the city council and just make recommendations there, right? But I think it'd be better to come here first and have the conversation, so. Okay, I'll see if I can get her scheduled.
Yeah.
Is the conversation like, is it gonna be like, here's a recommendation of your templates, I'm guessing, or is it gonna be more detailed than that?
I think it'll be I'm gonna have her review the inclusivity proclamation specifically and look for language there that she sees that could potentially be problematic. And then I'll probably have her look at the website as well and come fully prepared to kind of give a full overview of things that she sees that could be problematic. Not necessarily recommendations of things to change, but things that she believes we should be aware of as far as words used, language used, emphasis, and probably looking at our work plan going forward for the year and all that kind of stuff. So, and again, I'm not leaning one way or another. I'm just saying it's come up with, there's the website that the city uses. It's a federal government-run website that we use to access grants. And there's a new requirement, a new form that we're required to sign when we renew our membership or our activity on that site. And some of the boxes there very specifically say that we shall not engage in certain behavior, certain things. The things there are pretty extreme to one degree or another, and I don't know that they're things that I would say that we're doing. But definitely, I would say more, I think that there are inclusivity committees or DEI committees that are doing some of those things that would disqualify the government entity from receiving federal grants. I think that we focus a lot on educational opportunities and awareness and those types of things, more so than on like, well, I don't have the list in front of me, so I don't know a lot of details, but as I read through them, I definitely felt like I was defending the committee and the things that we've been doing and plan to continue to do. In the way I don't think it would put us in jeopardy, but I'm also not an attorney. So I think it'd be good to get the attorney's advice on some of those things, just so that I want us to all have a level of comfort going forward.
Yes.
That what we're doing isn't putting, $1 million grants in jeopardy for the city. If we can do it in a way that doesn't put grants in jeopardy financially, great. And again, if we as a committee want to make a strong recommendation to the city council that we keep doing what we're doing regardless, then that's a recommendation that this committee can make. But at the end of the day, the city council is going to have a say on, which of the things in the checklist we are obviously not doing and which things we're kind of doing and maybe should stay away from. There's a lot of work that can be done. So it just may be a shift in the things that we're focusing on, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
And language use.
And the type of language used, yeah.
Yes, I'm wondering, because we also need to look at the, well, it says here to review components of the draft strategic plan. Sharing thoughts, questions, suggestions, especially from the EIA perspective.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if what we share would also be better to come after we've met with the city attorney, so our questions, suggestions are given with the language that is not going to cost the city grants.
I think it's fine if we talk about this now and give those perspectives, because from what it sounds like, we're not doing anything currently jeopardizing current grants that we have. And I think it would be more like moving forward once we have the attorney like advice and language. Does that sound about right, Chris?
Yeah, I agree.
That we would need to not include that language in these city documents and such.
Do you want me to go through these and kind of add a little commentary to them
Yeah, that would be
on
great.
page 2?
Yeah, so if we're done with calendar, Yeah, and thank you for bringing up the committees. I've been wondering ever since we talked about it with the Hope Advisory Board, like, are we big enough to matter? And, but, so, yeah, if you want to also give a little background on the strategic plan, I tried to do some basic.
Yeah, I'll summarize the whole first page in a few sentences.
Thanks, you're really good at that. I'm not.
So the strategic plan basically was helping the city council get away from setting goals every year. And then you'd get a new council come in and all the old goals went away and the new council would set new goals. And they were very, tended to be very short-sighted because back in the day, we only had 2-year terms for our council members. And so they would try to get a goal on the books that they could get done within a 12-month period of time. And typically 12 months was ambitious. It was more like, what can we do over the next 6 to 8 months? Or at most 20 months, so that when reelection comes in, I can point to things, say, hey, I did this, this, and this, reelect me, right? And that's not being overly simplistic. It really was like, I've got a 2-year term, what can I get done in 2 years? And so a lot of the goals were very short-ended, short-sighted, like, what can I get done quickly? Which meant long-term goals, things that take 3, 5, 10 years to do, kept getting punted down the road, and we just never talked about them because the council wasn't interested in something that the next city council was going to do 5 years from now. They wanted to focus on what they were doing. So the strategic plan is something I implemented to try to help the council think more long-term. So we typically say it's a 1 to 5 year plan. So everything within the strategic plan is something that the city council is interested in taking on sometime in the next 5 years. And then we prioritize that list of things that we want to do down to things that we're actually going to do this year. Knowing that we can't do everything we want to do over the next 5 years in 1 year, we have to prioritize, and we've started prioritizing that down to like a top 10 list. Last year it was 12, this year it's like 10 and a half, but we still call it the top 10 list because that's really where we want to focus. And what I've told the council is if we can focus on 10 things, then when something comes up in the middle of the year that we want to do, we're not so stretched so thin that we can't take anything else on. We can take on an extra project when the opportunity comes up, and it's opportunistic, right? We can take advantage of that. And this year, there's several examples where we've been able to be more flexible and take on additional projects mid-year because we weren't so taxed with 40 things the council wanted to get done for the year, right? So moving forward and looking, and they're based on our fiscal year, right, which starts July and goes through the end of June. And so the city council's already done their retreat and they met and they talked about the current strategic plan, things they want to update, things they'd like to do, and they've helped reprioritize what they want the city to focus on over the next fiscal year. So starting July 1, going forward. This helps us as staff because then some of these things we have to budget for, they cost money. So right now we're building the budget at the staff level and we're making sure that we've got money to do any of the things in here that cost money. And then other things don't cost money. That's more shifting our work schedules and making sure that we prioritize when in the year we're going to take on certain tasks. Obviously, some things start better in the summer. Some things we got to start early because they're going to take longer. Other things we might wait until later in the year to take them on. And so what Councilor Andrade's put together is she's prepared the list of the current priorities of the city council for this fiscal year. The strategic plan is broken down, so I turn to page 2. The strategic plan is broken into 4 separate themes or areas. Those themes don't generally change. We wordsmith them every now and then, but for the most part, those 4 themes are pretty consistent. Good governance and community engagement. Theme 2 is a healthy economy. Theme 3 is community well-being and quality of life. And theme 4 is safe community. And under each of those, there's objectives that are goals that we have to try to accomplish within each of those themes. The actual strategic plan that we didn't print out for you, well, if you look on the next page, the last page, you can see for each of the themes, there's 3 to 5 goals that we've identified that we want to try to achieve related to each of those themes. And then within each of those goals, we've identified objectives. And so what you're seeing on page 2 are the objectives that the city council's highlighted for this year that are going to lead to completing any number of these goals that are listed. So what we give to the public essentially is our task list of objectives that we want to complete this year. We try to keep it to a one-page document so that we can kind of say, here's what it is, and it's more consumable, digestible for the public. But it's based on these goals that we have that are based on all of these 4 themes that we have, right? And then also what the public doesn't generally see is under each of these objectives that are listed on page 2, there's a number of action items, right? We have a whole list of actions, very specific things that either the council's going to do or staff's going to do, steps along the way in order to meet that objective that we've identified. So it's all very organized. But again, what we present to the public is like one of the pieces of that. And it's the part that we think the public is more concerned about, right? Like, what have you done for me this year? So again, the council members, when it's time for reelection, can be like, hey, here's the stuff that we got done over the last 3 or 4, 3.5 years while I've been on the city council, reelect me. Or look at all the stuff that I've done the last 4 years. I'm done. I'm ready to retire. I'm out, right? Whatever the case might be, depending on if they're going to run for reelection or not. And more important than running for election, I kind of say a little tongue in cheek, it's really about the city progressing and moving forward with tasks and things to do and being very strategic in what we're spending our time and what we're spending our money on, right? We don't want to just be reactive to where every time there's a great idea, we run and chase after that shiny ball and go as far as we can until another shiny ball pops up, and then we go and chase that, right? Which is really easy to do. I mean, we all kind of laugh and nod, but I think we've all been part of organizations that do that, right? We don't really have a purpose. We just wait till there's an emergency and then we go chase after that emergency and do it. Or something looks cool and we're like, oh, we'll just go do that. The strategic plan helps the city and the city council from chasing after shiny balls everywhere that are really, really cool and look like a lot of fun or look really, really interesting. And it helps center us and kind of focus on our plan that we already have in place. And we've strategically made decisions and made prioritizations of what we're going to work on and what we're going to do. So when I first present this, my last analogy I'll throw out on this. When I first present this, I was talking about it's very much like a shield or like a sword, because we really are like slicing through. We're using it as a weapon to like take things on and be aggressive and accomplish things, get things done. So in that way, it's very much a sword and getting things done, but it's also a shield, because it protects us from all the other stuff that's out there that we could be doing, but we don't. We shield them off with our strategic plan and say, that's a great idea, but it's not the strategic plan. It's not something we're focused on this year. However, it might be something we could put in the strategic plan for a future year. If it's still shiny and it's still great, 9 months from now or 12 months from now, it'll make its way onto the plan and we'll prioritize it accordingly. So all of that said, there's a lot of platitudes in there about how strategic plans work and why we have them and the benefits they do for the city. Specifically, looking at the objectives on page 2, and I think this is what Councilor and I was hoping is, as we look at the city council's priority objectives for this year and what we want to get done this next fiscal year, I think the question is, as is stated above there, what are things that the Inclusivity Committee could have a voice, give a voice to, or could help with that's already a priority of the council, but maybe we could help look at it through a different lens, or we could add some value to what the council's already doing with kind of an inclusionary hint to it, right? Or a belonging kind of look to it. I don't necessarily want to read to you. You've got them in front of you, but maybe if we just take the first theme and the first bullet point.
Unless anyone wants them read.
Yeah,
That is totally fine.
Yeah.
But sorry, real quick, I'll also note that the text is not not all of it is finalized. Most of it is what was agreed upon from our last meeting. But like the things in brackets in particular, I was like, I think this was kind of what we said. Hence the examples afterwards too of the things that we like cut out from the super detailed objective. Anyway.
So for theme 1, the objective there is the Philomath has kicked off our Philomath Community Vision 2050 project. It's going to take all year long to go through, and the idea is to bring all the different community organizations together and come up with a vision for our community, not the city, not the school, PYC, the entire community. What's our shared community vision looking out 25 years? And I'll kind of leave it at that, right? So there's a stakeholder group where every organization in the community has been invited to have at least one or two representatives come. We already had our first stakeholders meeting at the library at the high school a couple weeks ago. We're forming a smaller task force that'll be like a member of most of those organizations that'll help steer the conversation of things that they want to go to the larger stakeholders group at future meetings. And so they're going to help kind of steer things a little bit more rather than having the whole group trying to steer, which doesn't usually work all that great. So anyway, that new group is going to be forming, I think they're calling it a task force or I don't know. I think they're calling it a task force because it'll be kind of temporary. So that'll be starting. I don't really know what the total makeup of that visioning process is going to look like. The city got some funding and said, let's do this joint community visioning process. And then I've kind of stepped back. So I'm not steering it by myself. I'm not saying, here's the objectives we want to do. We've kind of floated some general things that we want to accomplish, but really we're letting the consultant and the community guide that conversation. So I don't have a lot of detail there, like here's the 5 things that we're going to do. I don't know what 5 things we're going to do. I know we're not going to do 30 things, so we're going to focus in on what are we trying to get done. But I think a portion of it's going to be like facilities, like are there new buildings that we need in the community that we should all help support and garnish so we can get new buildings in town? Are there old buildings that need to be rehabbed? Are there existing buildings that are empty that could be utilized more often? So can we form partnerships and discussions and agreements to make sure that the organizations in town have the space that they need to do their best work, right? That's one objective we've kind of seen coming through as we've talked to other members in the community. But short of that, I don't know. I think it's growth. I think it's volunteers. I think it's a whole list of different things we could be focused on. So it's very open. Any thoughts on that first one and how Inclusivity Committee? I have a part there. The city's representation on the stakeholders limited to 2, and the mayor and I are serving as our 2. So it's not like we could have all of our subcommittees also have membership there. So you've got Christopher and I trying to represent the best interest of the city and all of our committees, subcommittees, et cetera. Unfortunately, it's just we can't fill the entire room. So
There's supposed to be like a community outreach portion, right?
yes.
Is that an in-person type thing or is it more of a survey?
Both. The consultant is doing individual surveys with leaders from each of the organizations. And by organizations, this is nonprofit groups, government entities, church organizations, social clubs and groups. I mean, everything from the Lions Club to the Frolic to the Gleaners or Fulham Community Services, which includes Gleaners. I said Gleaners, but I meant to say yes. Not from the Community Services. No, what are they, just outside of town? Not lodges, the
The Granges?
Grange River Grange. Thank you. I couldn't find Grange, the word just wasn't there. Not Gleaners, but Grange. I got the G right, that's why I was close. Anyway, the Granges are members, obviously like PYAC, Fulham Youth Activities Club, the school district. So when I say organizations, I'm talking like any type of entity you can think of, right? So the Rebecca's Lodge, pastors from all the different churches have all been invited, the pastors and bishops and all them have been invited. So it's like a very wide swath of folks that have been invited to come and participate, right? So that stakeholder group, so each of those organizations will be an individual interview to get as much information as we can out of them about the organization and their needs and future. There'll be a survey that'll be prepared in part by this task force. We'll help create a survey that'll go out to the general public to everybody, probably digitally. And then we'll also look to have paper copies of that available for folks. We haven't talked about having that translated or having that in multiple languages. That might be something where the Inclusivity Committee could like make some recommendations as those surveys preparing to go out. So there's different things there. And then there'll be public outreach, like farmers market, probably the Frolic, they'll have a booth. So there'll be other opportunities at checkpoints away to get additional input from people, kind of meeting them where they already are, like physically where they are, like going out to the community rather than asking everybody to come in here and sit and listen. So there'll be several of those opportunities along the way to provide feedback. And then at the end of the day, there'll be a report that gets drafted, and there'll be opportunities to provide comment on the draft report. That'll be open for the public at large as well to come and provide feedback about it. So, yeah. They're setting up their social media, a website, all that's kind of getting on the background right now. So eventually, be like a go-to place where anybody interested in the Vision 2050 can go and get information, provide comments, all that kind of stuff. It's being built right now. Not right now, but like.
Yeah, I guess if you're asking like what this committee could do for the component, I mean, with enough warning, yeah, we could look at like anything. So like the survey, like suggestions for survey translation or ways to make like the public input more accessible. Like, yeah, or like volunteer opportunities to make sure that like there's enough people out there to do community input. Yeah, I think the big thing is just making sure any like review of any document or stuff like ahead of time of when they would be needed.
Does that committee have any kind of youth representation on it? Are the youth involved at all?
We don't care about the youth involvement. No, I mean, sure. I mean, many of the organizations are youth focused, but there aren't like youth that are showing up like just representing youth, right? It's more youth organization that they're represented. So PYC school district that, you know, those organizations are there. But no, I mean, we didn't have any actual youth at the stakeholder event. ASB or something like that, are you thinking, or?
I don't know, I just think, you know, for a 2050 plan, the youth are gonna be pretty active in that,
Yeah.
more so than, you know, who knows what my life is gonna look like. And
Assuming they haven't left the city, because as the mayor is always saying, that's like our best export. We want to keep people here.
yeah, and I mean, you get them young and they have like an opportunity to engage and plug in and decide what kind of community they want to live in and what kind of community they want to be a part of. Might make them more likely to stay rooted here.
Yeah.
I like where you're going. I mean, some of the initial conversations I've had with them already about that outreach is when the survey's ready. Like we want to do like some short video clips to promote it that we can put out there. Drop some stuff on TikTok, you know, or stuff that's easy that we can forward out on TikTok or Instagram or Spotify, not Spotify, Snapchat, but social media that can easily be shared rather than like, again, just relying socially on Facebook, which is mostly like your 40 plus crowd, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's like 45 plus crowd now because it's been 5 years since it was the 40 plus crowd. We're not gaining new older people. Yeah. So, no, so to your point, I mean, the consultants do a lot of this, so they're already like, oh yeah, when we say social media, we don't mean Facebook, Chris, we mean social media that people are using. All generations, like, okay, fair enough. But, I mean, I think you bring up a good point about making sure that we're engaging them with that survey and the stakeholder meeting, I'll ask around about it. I think that's a nice kind of early suggestion to see if we can pull in some more youth somehow, or maybe even do a specific event for the youth to kind of talk through and get some feedback from them.
I think that might be more approachable and like friendlier. Because I think it's easy for adults to slip into jargon without realizing it. And like technical details and stuff. And if they're not familiar, like they'll, I don't know, might be intimidated thinking about myself.
I'm presenting to the ASB class next month on a different topic, but I think that they would probably be open to like hijacking their class for an hour and just talking 2050 vision project and getting some feedback from that crew and different things. Maybe even go through the survey with them as a group and try to generate some. So being more intentional in that youth perspective and encouraging them to share it on their social media platforms that they're on and stuff and get the word out. Be helpful.
Well, the conversation made me think that perhaps we should be considering what other communities or populations are maybe not included yet in this Vision 2050, or whatever exclusion difficulty that we're not seeing. And well, also reminded me that we share with the senior group the postcard that they gave at the Vision
The 2050
vision, and we invited them
postcards.
to fill them out, and just to get some from members from the seniors group to express an idea. And then I'm sorry, I'm just thinking out loud, but like people that of low income perhaps, or that if we are thinking about housing in the future in Philomath, maybe we need to also consider certain communities that are not part of an organization or are not yet having an opinion in this vision.
Yeah, definitely. On that note, are the consultants making an effort to collect demographic information? Like at least making it optional to put? If not, can we?
Yeah, I don't know
Because I think that would be it.
if we're not up there. Let me ask.
Yeah, I guess, like for ideas on like how this committee can be involved, is it more, are you looking for like using our expertise in like reviewing stuff, or are you looking for like, can y'all volunteer and put boots on, I don't know if that's the right phrase these days, but boots on the ground and help with something?
I am always careful about not presuming that because you're on the Inclusivity Committee, you have any expertise in anything. Or that like there's requirements of you as a member other than coming to the meetings and providing information and participating and whatever's. But if you do have expertise or you do want to take on additional tasks, then you can always contact me or speak up during a meeting and kind of offer that. And we've kind of been doing that, which is helpful. But I would never like come to this committee and say, hey, the committee wants you to do, the consultant wants you guys to take on this project, right? Like I wouldn't be that presumptuous. I would just assume that if you want to provide feedback, like we're doing today, right? Like if you want to provide some feedback, here's an opportunity to provide some feedback. If there's additional work that we can do to make sure, like, I think it's one thing to say, that's the first answer. Another answer would be, I think it's one thing to say, well, we can give you advice on like how to make sure, we'll just take like the survey, making sure the survey gets out to a broad spectrum of people. We could sit in a room and we can talk about ways that we can do that, or we could like, oh, I know somebody that can translate that and I'll translate it. Or I have a TikTok account and I've got 500 followers. I'll post that on my TikTok account, or So there's, I think as members of this committee, you can kind of do what you're comfortable with. If it's helpful to provide advice to the consultant on ways that they can expand, then that's great. But if there's things that you want to do to help expand it, you can do that as well. And I think anything that you're willing to do to help is helpful. So again, I just don't want to make anybody feel like they've got to do something because they're on this committee. The only requirement to be on this committee is that you come to the committee meetings when you can and participate as much as you'd like to, right? So, is that,
Yes,
okay.
yes, it does a lot.
okay?
I will note real quick that it is 6:47. And like, I'm really enjoying this conversation. So I guess what do you suggest we do?
So I think everybody's read the rest of these while I was rambling about this first one. Maybe high level, as you read through the others, were there things that you think would be helpful for me to hear tonight or for Councilor Andrade to hear tonight that we can bring back to say, I think this is somewhere where the Inclusivity Committee could have a voice or could have an influence?
Well, for me, goal 3.3, Philomena has events and opportunities to build in community. I think building community is something that this committee would give a lot of to, and maybe we can think more about it, about how we would like to build an inclusive community.
And so some of these, the 5-year strategic plan has goals and objectives and even some action items for all of these things. But at the beginning of each calendar year, the council prioritizes those, like I was saying, because we can't do everything. Like we can't focus on all of these goals. So the council's prioritizes that. So that's what's on the previous page is the things the council's already going to work on this year. So if there's things for this year that the council's already kind of giving staff direction to do that we can participate in or can help or, like I said, lend counsel to or whatever, that's what's going to be most helpful. Some of these are infrastructure projects, which you may be like, I don't know what the inclusivity committee can do about this, other than, again, awareness or, some of those types of things.
Accessibility as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or like with the water treatment plant, making sure that everyone's aware about like the water utility rates and like being adjusted and everything. That would be, mostly just like informing everyone, like you were saying, for the infrastructure stuff.
I think of that first one in the theme too. So we're looking to do some kind of revitalization stuff downtown. So flower baskets, holiday decorations, flags and banner brackets, highway medians, public art. So that's kind of stuff that they're looking to improve on. Pavilion, a digital kiosk, that type of stuff. So, I mean, the digital kiosk I'm looking at is like accessible from a wheelchair. You can get up to it. It's interactive, so it's push button, you push like a touch screen. So, I mean, a lot of stuff kind of built in with anything that we're going to put in the public sphere typically has gone through some type of ADA compliance review. But not everything, right? And sometimes the ADA is the minimum and we can do better, right? So I'm very interested if anybody has ideas there. Not that we need to go over tonight, but again, that's something we can bring. That's not a project we're going to do next month, right? So if people are interested, as those plans kind of start to develop, or we start getting to the point where we're talking about those, if this committee is interested, I could definitely bring some examples and some things here and get you some feedback from you if it's something that you're interested in. So that's one that again, depending on what the committee wants to do, I can bring more information to a future meeting.
Ash, if you have specific ideas and you're not sure if you'll remember them for the next meeting, feel free to talk to us or email.
City-owned property at 14th and Main. We've got a couple of businesses, developers that we're going to be talking to next month on their proposals, but it looks like moving forward on some type of a mixed use, commercial first floor, some type of residential up above, maybe hotel, maybe apartment, maybe low-income housing. We don't know what that's gonna look like exactly yet, but we're in discussions there.
Are there, 'cause I can't remember, is the consultant including like walking, windshield, like any type of visible survey of like the city? Like whether observing,
Are you talking about the visioning project? Or, oh, okay.
but it goes into this other part of like economic development. So like is there anyone or plans to have like someone with a clipboard that like physically walks the streets and then is like checking off like accessibility of roadways and like uneven like sidewalks or broken streetlights or like whatever, like it's like that type of thing of like you're driving around and walking to a whole bunch of places in order to collect like basic ground data on like city design.
And that's, you're asking in regards to the vision project?
Yeah.
No, nobody's doing that specific for the visioning project, no.
There was this transit report where people could point at the map. What was that called?
That was for the transportation, for safety,
Safety.
yeah, for safety concerns.
Yes, but mostly for driving.
Yeah, it's more like accidents, there's, you know, bike or pedestrian or vehicle. Any area that seemed unsafe, yeah, you could put a dot on the map and explain.
Thinking that people that they usually walk, maybe if they notice something in the street, could have written it there.
And we could do something similar for like accessibility, right? Like what are areas in town that are not accessible? And snap a photo and upload it and let's, you know, help prioritize those.
I think
So
that's
it's an
an
effort.
actionable idea.
Yeah, kind of like my thing for July I was talking.
Yes. I think so.
Okay, let me kind of go through the rest. Increase bike and pedestrian connectivity throughout the city. There's a list of projects that are out there to do. I don't know which one we're gonna prioritize, but there was kind of an overall objective to increase pedestrian and bike connectivity. And then the safe communities, this first bullet points, helping get the truck traffic off of 19th Street. The second one's a little more broad. Again, I think there's a few specific projects we're gonna be doing that will lean towards that objective, but I think we're still kind of honing it in. We're making some improvements on 11th and 12th Street this year between Applegate and Main Street, just that one block in between to add some parking, and a EV charging station and better sidewalks, getting the gravel off the area. So I think that will lean towards that one. Construct a new water treatment plant, increasing police officer recruitment and retention efforts. That mostly has to do with salary, making sure we're competitive with Benton County and Corvallis to a certain extent, so we don't lose officers to Benton County every couple of years like we've been doing. And that last one, identify and prioritize infrastructure needs relative to emergency preparedness. So that's kind of looking through the lens of emergencies, what infrastructure needs to be in place to help us get through an emergency better, whether it be a flood or an earthquake or a fire. Is there infrastructures needed? Are there roads, connections that need to be put in place that aren't there now? Backup generators in specific areas where we should have backup generators. Like we got a food bank, there's a bunch of food there, the power goes out, there's no electricity and everything's gonna go bad, right? Like maybe we should talk about a prioritization of getting a generator down there if we don't have one already, right? So things like that, right? That kind of lens. So that will be an effort. Well, them, again, nothing super sexy, but definitely some cool projects that the council's focused in on for this year. But I appreciate all the input already, and I know we're kind of short on time, so if something comes to you as you're reading through those, feel free to shoot Counselor Andrade or myself an email, quick text message, whatever, or bring it up at the next meeting. These are things we'll be working on all year, but it's really the next 2 to 3 months where we're gonna be kind of figuring out like what exactly does this mean and what exactly we're gonna do to meet that objective. So definitely bring your ideas and anything that's of interest to you.
And we can bring back like what some of the objectives and action items are for some of these goals that you've seen, like the 3.3. Because I really don't remember what was there.
It might be a good exercise to do in like September, October, before the
Yes.
city council's meeting in December, January, and kind of prioritizing. It might be good to review those and maybe help encourage some of those things that are on there to get a little bit more mustard behind them. I don't know if that's a correct term, just to get mustard behind them. I don't know. I just made that up. Seemed to make sense to me. That one needs more mustard behind it, or the council's never gonna prioritize it. Okay, that was helpful. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that. Is there, okay, it is 6:58. So really quickly before we adjourn, were there any other ideas for things that we wanted to do this year for like a work plan type thing? I know I brought up kind of revisiting the age-friendly communities thing to try to figure out if there's like a specific project that we can potentially work on long-term or something, like a little piece at a time. Did anyone else have any ideas about things? It's okay if not, just wondering. I feel like you want to say something, Alva.
That's
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
But we're short on time, but yes, the age-friendly communities and with the conversation that we were having now, and just to think how this committee could give recommendation for this plan, maybe we can connect it to that.
Okay,
And so I think with this conversation can continue.
sounds good. Thank you. And anything else not covered in the meeting for agenda item requests for next meeting, which is April 28th at 5:30 p.m. I think we have a pretty.
I've got.
Oh, yeah, it is pretty stacked.
Proclamation,
Yeah,
civic
eternity.
proclamation.
Eternity.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have 2 proclamations passed by meeting with the city attorney and social media posts.
Yeah.
So
Jiglal.
hopefully no one else has anything.
Thank you everyone for your patience. And for a great meeting. So many good ideas. I guess we're adjourned now.
Adjourning at 7 o'clock.
On the dot.
For the first time ever.
I know.